Welcome learners. I am Ankita Lakra, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, Pandit Sundarlal Sharma Open University. Today's lecture, we begin our study of a foundational concept, the introduction to business environment. This topic is critical for understanding how an organization operates, succeeds, or fails. We will explore what this environment consists of, why it is so essential to understand, and how we can classify its many concepts and components to make better strategic decisions. By the end of this session, you will be able to first study the concept, meaning, and definition of business environment. Second, learn the essentiality of the business environment, specifically how it impacts the boundaries of an organization. Third, understand the classification of the business environment. Let's begin with an introduction. The business environment is formed by a complex combination of internal and external elements that have an effect on the operations and performance of businesses. If we take the Indian business environment an example, we see a nation rich in diversity with a vast population and a unique cultural, social, and economic landscape. For any firm operating in such context, developing successful strategies and achieving market success require a solid understanding of this specific business environment. So, what exactly is the business environment? The concept is broad. It includes all the internal and external factors that affect the operation of an organization. This list is long, but it includes everything from suppliers, customers, and competitors to large forces like the economy, social trends, and the political climate. It also includes factors inside the organization such as its structures, objectives, and its financial and human resources. Various authors have provided different definitions. Let's look at key perceptives. First, Keith Davis emphasizes the external aspects. He defines as the sum total of all the factors to the business firm and that greatly influence their functionings. Second, Francis Cherunilam introduced a vital strategic element. His definition states it includes factors outside the firm which can lead to opportunities for or threats to the firm. This positions the environment as something a business must scan for strategic advantage. The common theme is that the environment is a collection of forces, mostly external, that a business cannot ignore and must respond to. It is helpful to think of the business environment as a macro context. The word environment encompasses forces that are often beyond the control of any single organization. The business itself functions as a micro unit operating within this large context. These environmental factors are numerous. They include the nation's institutional structures, its monetary policies, the legal framework, and even the value system of the population. Because of these external factors are dynamic and rapidly changing, organizations must be aware of them and modify their strategy in accordance with them. To better understand this complex idea, we can classify the environment in several ways. First, by temporal patterns. The environment can be viewed as past, present, and future. The combination of historical and current environments give rise to the future environment. The decisions made today will impact the environment of tomorrow. Second, we can divide it into market and non market forces. The market environment includes the factors that directly impact the market, such as demand, supply, competition, and price. The non market environment includes forces like social, customs, and governmental regulation. Third, we can separate the economic and non economic environment. The economic environment sides include fiscal policy, monetary policy, and the nature of the economic system. The non economic side covers social, political, legal, and cultural variables, all of which influence business operations. This leads us to a key question: why is studying the environment so essential? The business environment is important to enterprise for a number of reasons. First, it helps in identifying opportunities and threats. A thorough analysis of demographic factors, for instance, might reveal opportunity in a growing middle class. Second, it is critical for formulating effective strategies. An organization can only develop a good marketing strategy by analyzing the social and cultural factors that influence consumer behavior. Third, it helps in understanding the regulatory environment. In India, this is complex and dynamic. An organization must be aware of the laws that impacts its operation. Fourth, it allows a firm to adapt to changing marketing conditions. The Indian market is constantly changing. An e-commerce business, for example, must be aware of technological advancement to stay agile. And fifth, it helps in building relationship with stakeholders, whether they be customers, suppliers, investors, or government agencies. So, let's briefly recap what we have covered so far. We have defined business environment as a aggregate of all the factors, both internal and external, that influence an organization. We have noted importantly that these factors can be source of both opportunities and threats, and we have established why it's essential to study for strategic planning, for identify threats, and for adapting a dynamic market. Now, let's move on to the major components of the business environment. These are often grouped using the PESTLE framework. The economic environment includes factors like economic growth, inflation, and the interest rates. An example given is the implementation of the Goods and Services Tax (GST) in India. A social environment is influenced by cultural and demographic factors. The political environment is shaped by the government policies, regulation, and the political stability of the country. The technological environment involves advancement and innovation, such as the Digital India Initiative. The legal environment refers to the specific laws and legal frameworks that impact businesses. And the ecological environment, which includes factors like climate change and the recent focus on sustainability. A very common and useful way to classify these components is to divide them into external and internal factors. The external environment can be further divided into microenvironment and the macroenvironment. The microenvironment consists of factors close to the company that directly influence its functioning. The macroenvironment consists of the larger societal forces that affect the entire industry. Let's examine these two external layers first, starting with the microenvironment. We will begin with the microenvironment. The term micro here refers to the elements that have a direct influence on the organization's functioning and choices. These factors are specific to a particular company and can vary significantly from one organization to another. We can generally classify the microenvironment into five main categories: customers, competitors, suppliers, employees, and stakeholders. First, customers. Customers are the key driving force for any business. Their preferences, needs, and demands are what directly influence a company's strategic decisions. A thorough understanding of the customer base is essential. This is often done through segmentation, dividing customers by demographic criteria like age or income, geographic criteria, psychographic criteria like lifestyle, or behavioral criteria like brand loyalty. Second, competitors. These are organizations offering similar product or services. Understanding this landscape is crucial for differentiating your own company. We must analyze competitors' strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. A SWOT analysis. It is also important to monitor both direct competitors who offer identical products and indirect competitors who provide alternative solutions to the same customer needs. Third, we have suppliers. These entities provide the necessity, resources, raw materials, and services required for businesses to produce their products. A strong relationship with reliable suppliers is crucial for maintaining quality and consistency and ensuring smooth operations. Suppliers can be manufacturers, wholesalers, or specialized service providers. Fourth, employees. Employees are the backbone of any business and play a critical role in its success or failure. Skilled and motivated employees are the ones who contribute to efficiency, productivity, and innovation. This internal factor is crucial to the company's ability to function. Finally, the fifth micro factor is stakeholders. It is a broad term. A stakeholder is any individual or group with an interest in the company's performance and growth. We can divide it into two groups. Internal stakeholders are directly involved in the daily operations of the company. This includes employees, owners, and managers. External stakeholders, on the other hand, are not involved daily but still play a crucial role. For instance, investors provide the necessary capital and the community grants the business a license to operate. Let's quickly recap the microenvironment. We have defined it as the set of factors specific to the company that directly influence its operations. We identify the five key components: customers, competitors, suppliers, employees, and stakeholders. These are the factors and forces in the company's immediate environment that it interacts with daily. Now we will continuing macro environment of external factor. Now we zoom out to the macro business environment. This comprises external factors over which individual firms have no control. Unlike the micro environment, these factors affect entire industries and economic. A common framework for analyzing this, as we mentioned earlier, is the pestle analysis. This classifies the macro environment into six major categories: political, economic, social, technological, environmental, and legal factors. Let's look at the first two. Political factors refers to the impact of government policies, legislation, and political stability on businesses. A stable political environment is essential for long-term planning. The key factors includes trade policies such as tariffs and government regulation on taxation or business registrations. Economic factors encompasses the overall economic conditions. A robust economy with high growth can create favorable conditions. Key factors to watch are economic growth and inflation, which is the increase in the general price of goods, and interest rate, which implies the cost of borrowing money. Next are socio-cultural factors. These are the beliefs, values, and attitudes and lifestyle of the population, which influence consumers' preferences and demands. This includes demographics, changes in population size or age, lifestyle trends like the growing popularity of online shopping, and social values such as attitude towards sustainability. Technological factors refers to the development of new technologies. Technological advancement can disrupt entire industry or create new opportunities. This includes innovation, investment in research and development (R&D), and the quality of the nation's technological infrastructure such as interconnectivity. The last two pestle factors are natural and legal. The natural factor, also referred to as environmental, relates to the natural environment and its impact. This includes climate change, the increasing scarcity of natural resources like water or fossil fuels, and environmental regulation. Finally, legal factor consists of the law that governs business operation. Businesses must adhere these legal requirements to prevent financial penalties. This includes labor law, consumer protection law, and intellectual property law that protect patent, trademarks, and copyrights. We have discussed the micro and macro external environment, but what about the factors inside the company? This is the internal business environment. These are the various factors within the organization that influence its decision. This includes the company's mission and objectives, its managerial plans and policies, its organizational structure, the quality of its infrastructure, and its various resources such as human resource, finance and marketing resource, operational resource, and the internal technology resources. Let's look at the guiding principle of the internal environment. First, the mission and objectives. The company's mission statements explain why it exists and how it plans to serve customers. The objectives are the measurable goals to set to achieve that mission, for example, to enter a new market. Second, managerial plans and policies. These internal factors guide professionals when they are faced with decisions. And the third, the organizational structure. This is the collection of rules and regulation that defines the reporting procedures. It defines the responsibilities and duties of all the employees. The resources of the company are the core part of its internal environment. The quality and size of infrastructure is a key factor. Does the firm have what it needs to function effectively? This includes modern and high quality facilities, dependable electricity, and a reliable internet connections. Human resources are the people who work for the company, often called its most valuable asset. The quality of a firm's human resources is critical internal factor for success. Continuing with resources, finance and marketing resources are vital. The finance function involves planning and managing capital asset and cash flow. Operational resources refers to the management of the supply chain and the cost of goods and services including maintenance, repair and operations. Finally, internal technology resources are real asset of company possesses such as its building or machines as well as its overall technical expertise and capabilities. Let's conclude today's lecture with the final summary. We have learned that the business environment is the sum of all the factors, internal and external, that impact a firm. We classified the external environment into two parts: the microenvironment, which has a direct impact and include customers and competitors, and the macroenvironment, which the firm cannot control and is best analyzed using the PESTEL framework. We have also identified the internal environment as a collection of factors within the firm, such as its mission, its structure, and its various resources. A success of an organization, therefore, depends on its ability to thoroughly understand and, most importantly, adapt its strategies to all these complex and interconnected environments. This brings us to the end of this lecture. Hope you all attain about the business environment. Thank you, dear learners, for your attention. Keep exploring, stay curious, and continue learning.